Now that you have a clear understanding of Egypt and Eden in terms of relationships, we are 2 steps into the journey to recovery post-heartbreak. Step 1, accepting that it's over. Step 2, cry it out. I know that one of the reasons I've been able to move forward after heartbreak is because I ran to God when I wanted to run back to Egypt, honey. Instead of running to my homegirls or running back to this man, when I needed to cry and vent, I did so to God. I leaned on him. If you will allow him to access your pain, he can heal you. He can't heal you if you don't let him put his hands on the place that hurts. Another tactic I used to help me move forward without looking back was to document all the reasons I left the bondage of that last relationship. Let's take that next step. You ready? We moving forward, sugar, and we can't take the dead weight with us.
Time to get over. Thinking, maybe one last try. Don't you get lost in nostalgia?
I am often very forgetful, okay? I forget what I went to the grocery store for. I forget to remember what I went into the kitchen for. I forget to remember to take upstairs what I went into the kitchen for. It's just a lot. I know myself well enough to know that loneliness will make me forget why I left a toxic relationship to begin with. My forgetfulness has kept me in bondage in the past. When it comes to illicit romantic relationships where your soul has been entangled through sexual or emotional intimacy with someone who was not meant to have access to you in that way, I believe it's necessary to do whatever you can to break free and stay free. Making a list for me was a way to stay free. The temptation to go back will come, but God will provide a way of escape. When I was tempted, this list was like a way of escape for me. My prayers were very honest. My most frequent one was, God, I miss him, but I don't want to. Help me. Then he reminded me of my list, and then I was good. In fact, I think it's a good idea to write your list when you're fighting the urge to run back to your ex. On my own journey, it was pretty standard for me to drop a tear or 10 when, against my spiritual desires, I started missing him and wanted to go back. Why? Because the struggle between what my flesh and my spirit wanted was emotionally taxing. Write your list. And as a matter of fact, I would even say record it when you are in an emotional state, when you are crying to God in prayer. That way, when you get the urge to run back, you can hear the pain in your voice. That'll sober you up quickly. I wish I would have thought about that when I was going through it. I just read my little list on my phone. Child. Anyway, I also think it's important that your list is guided by the Holy Spirit and not solely by your emotions. For example, you may want to put on the list that he didn't let you have your way all the time, or that he checked you when you were wrong, or that he didn't have much time to sit on the phone with you for hours because he was hard at work. No, ma'am. Those are not things that should go on your list because, honey, let me tell you, those are characteristics of a good man. There are some things that you may have felt like were deal breakers, but were really a result of character flaws in you. Let's just put it out there now, ladies. We are not without fault, okay? Now, if he always wanted things his way, or if he was abusive when he checked you when you were wrong, or if he couldn't find time at all, like on his lunch break or in his downtime to at least text you, those are things you should document. Hear me when I say this. This list is a preventative tool to be used only when absolutely necessary. This is not something to meditate on or rehearse. I repeat, this is not something to meditate on or rehearse. I'm not telling you to keep a list so that you can have ammunition to fire at him in the event that he ever reaches out again. No. I'm not telling you to keep a list so that you can justify why you should be able to talk down about him or his character. No. I'm telling you to keep a list so when you miss him and your emotions try to lead you back to Egypt, you can look back and remember why it was best for you to leave in the first place. Here's a snippet of my list. It says, Dear Channing, don't forget the torment. Lonely nights will make you forget the pain and return to situations that caused your heart to break. Don't let loneliness return you to bondage. Remember the complacent inconsistency. Remember being treated like you are common. Remember the deflection. Remember being ignored. Remember being taken advantage of and then told that you shouldn't have fallen the way you did. Remember whispering, I love you during sex, but finding out he saw you as nothing more than a friend. Remember the crying sessions on the floor, in the car, at the gym. Remember every tear you shed. James 4:7 tells us to resist the devil and he will flee from you. I was doing a whole lot of resisting with my list, child. I was like, no, devil, When I was there, I was being treated like I was common. No, devil. When I was there, I was met with complacent inconsistency. No, devil. When I was there, serious conversations were often deflected. Now, don't just make a list of things about him. Make a list of all the things you did that added to the dissolution of the relationship. For me, I was impatient. I put unrealistic expectations on him without his consent. I sexually forced myself on and manipulated him when I felt insecure. I felt entitled to a title because I was giving him an intimate piece of myself. I used him as a balm for my pain instead of running to God to heal me. I disobeyed God for him. We're releasing ourselves from the victim mindset. Part of being emotionally whole, emotionally beautiful, is owning up to our part in the breakup. In order to be better for the next time around, we need to look back and see where we went wrong too. Now, the final list should be the one about all the things God is or has been to you. I don't want you to be so consumed with the bad stuff that you neglect the goodness of God in the midst of it all. While you're uprooting the past, I want to make sure that you're planting seeds of faith and hope as well. If you're concerned about the time you lost in the relationship, list that God is a restorer. If your heart is still wounded from everything your ex did, list that God is a healer. List that God is a comforter, a friend, a father, a teacher, or whatever else you know you'll need as you move forward. I'll say this again. The list about your ex is a preventative tool to be used only when absolutely necessary. It's not something to meditate on or keep rehearsing, because who wants to keep reliving that stuff, right? This list is not so you can hold a grudge against him in your heart. This list is not so you can keep score. This list is not so you can bash and or insult him. This list is something you only refer to in moments of loneliness, regret, remorse, grief, or sadness as a result of having walked away. In the very first episode of Scandal, it's written in the script that Abby asks Olivia for the speech, which goes like this. Stephen is not the man for you. Your love for him is misguided and will only lead to humiliation and pain. If you were to confess your love, it would only lead to humiliation and pain. If you were to sleep with Stephen, it would only lead to humiliation and pain. You are an amazing, beautiful, strong woman, and someday you are going to meet a man who gets that. He is the right man for Georgia. But for you, and Abby says, humiliation and pain. Sis, this list is for moments when you need to be your own Olivia Pope and give yourself the speech, okay? Remember why you left, sis. And after you put yourself in remembrance, it's time to forget. Seems weird, but I'll expand next week. Until then, stay beautiful.
Maybe one last try, don't you get lost in those times.